It was late August, the sticky end of summer 1985, when everything started to unravel. The four of us, me, Maura, Arnie, and Goody, were staring down the barrel of our last days together. Maura was bound for the Rhode Island School of Design, her future as an artist locked in since she could hold a brush. Arnie had MIT calling his name, his brain already wired for circuits and equations. Goody, real name Ben, but we'll get to that, was waffling about the University of Boston, though he'd go anyway. And me? I was the wild card taking a gap year because, as my mom loved to say, you can do anything you want. Musician, math geek, vlogger, maybe even a therapist like my parents, except the one thing I couldn't do was get into RISD with Maura. When I told her I'd been rejected, the relief in her voice cut deeper than the letter itself. We were done, even if neither of us said it out loud. So, I pitched the camping trip. One last hurrah before the gang scattered like leaves in a storm. We deserve this memory, I told them, and after some grumbling, they caved. They always did, whether it was starring in my dumb video sketches, hitting up a Renaissance fair, or marching for a cause. I had a knack for dragging them along. Funny thing is, I'm the one who never knew what I wanted. I picked the spot, a state park near the Canadian border in Vermont, a nowhere place called, get this, Nowhere. Yeah, Nowhere, Vermont. It sounded like a punchline Odysseus might have told after dodging a cyclops. Where'd you go last summer? Nowhere. Loved it. The plan was ambitious. Rent 2 canoes, paddle across a 2-mile lake, portage 500 feet around a bog, then cross a twisty second lake to a remote lean-to, miles from anything resembling civilization. In the northeast, where roads have spiderwebbed the land for 300 years, it was as close to wilderness as we'd get. We got a late start. Shocker. Arnie, our resident efficiency nut, insisted on repacking the car 3 times. "Tell me this isn't better," he said, smug as hell, when we finally rolled out with 6 inches of rear window clearance. Then Maura demanded we ditch fast food for a local diner experience. "The journey's the adventure," she said, her mantra on repeat. I watched the cook slice ham like he was performing surgery, honing the knife, carving a perfect 1/4-inch slab, and muttered, "At this rate, the journey's going to be the whole adventure." She called me hopeless. She wasn't wrong. That ham sandwich was damn good though, even if it meant we didn't hit the park until after 6 p.m. The ranger at the station, a pudgy, balding guy with a folksy vibe, didn't like our timing. "Kinda late to head for the remote site," he said, eyeing the sinking sun. "We're good," I shot back. No way was I letting this trip die in a motel parking lot. "Sunset's not till 8, right?" 7:56, he corrected. "But it'll be dark under them trees way before that." "We got headlamps," I said, shrugging off his frown. "You need to be in camp before dark," he pressed. "We've got a problem bear up here." He paused, just a heartbeat, before bear, like he wasn't sure that's what he meant. "We'll be fine. Just give us the paddles." "Cheese and crackers, no talking you out of this," he muttered, shaking his head. "Couple things then. There's a rope in the lean-to with iron spikes tied to it. String it round your camp, keeps him out." "A rope? For a bear?" I scoffed. "It's the spikes," he said. "He don't like the noise." "Sure," Maura chimed in, smirking. "Keeps out fairies too." The ranger blinked at her, then at Goody and Arnie. "Cheese and crackers, that's your business, not mine." "She means elves," I clarified, rolling my eyes. He waved it off. "Just use the rope. Also, stick to the portage trail between the lakes. Looks like you could cut through the bog, but that ground ain't solid. Peat floating on water and muck. Folks have gotten stuck. One we couldn't pull out in time. Ain't trying to scare you, but rope up. Take the trail, you'll be fine." By the time we grabbed the paddles and loaded the canoes, it was 6:45. Arnie fussed over weight distribution. 4 cases of beer, 2 jugs of whiskey, 6 days of food, and I didn't argue. We were underage and miles from a liquor store. Those coolers were gold. The canoes sat low, barely 6 inches above the water, sluggish as hell, but balanced. The sun was kissing the horizon when we shoved off across the first lake. "Gotta do this systematically," Arnie barked as we beached. "Front to back, line it up, not a pile." Goody ignored him, dumping gear in a heap, earning a lecture that cost us 15 minutes. Mora sighed about rushing, ruining the journey, but I just wanted to beat the dark. The second lake was a slog, the sky bleeding red to grey, trees swallowing the light. Goody hit the shore first, bolting into the woods like a kid on a scavenger hunt. I helped Mora out, hauled the canoe up, and followed. He came clanking back, dragging a rope studded with iron triangles. "This'll lead us to the lean-to," he yelled. "Let's move!" The camp was a mossy slant of wood, tucked just out of sight from the lake. We hauled gear, except Mora, who strolled ahead to scope it out. Classic Mora, never in a hurry, even when we were racing dusk. We were down to 2 day packs and the beer cooler when I heard it, a splash, loud and heavy, from the far end of the lake's squiggly W shape. "Bear's coming," I said, slinging a pack and grabbing the cooler. "Get the rope up." Arnie stoked a fire while Mora arranged gear like it was an art project. I ran back for the rope, peering at the water. Something dark moved, a broad, hairy smudge slicing toward us fast. Black bears don't swim like that, heads submerged, cutting the surface like a shark. My gut twisted. I looped the rope around camp, the iron spikes clanging faintly as I hooked it over branches. It wouldn't stop a bear, just make noise like the ranger said, but I'd misjudged the length, leaving a 10-foot gap. Didn't matter, I told myself. Symbolic, right? Then I saw it, a shadow between the trees, bear-shaped, upright, shifting out of sight. "Incoming," I shouted, sprinting back. Goody yelled, "Hurry!" Arnie said, "Make noise, bears hate it." We froze, dumbstruck, until I belted, "I'm a loud, scary noisemaker." Goody joined in. "Noisy noise, loudest in Noiseland." Lame, but it was something. I tied the rope ends with a shaky knot and retreated to the fire. Silence fell. No birds, no crickets, just wind. Then a clank, 1 iron triangle, lakeside. Another, left. A third, circling behind the lean-to. No rustling, no footsteps, just metal, chiming one by one, slow and deliberate, like something was testing the line. We held our breath. Suddenly every triangle rattled at once, a deafening chorus. Mora grabbed the Dutch oven, banging it like a war drum, screaming. We joined her, howling into the dark. Silence crashed back, then faint and far, metals scraped stone. "The canoes!" Goody gasped. "It's trapping us!" "It's a bear," Arnie snapped. "It doesn't plan." "Bears are smarter than you think," Mora said. A crunch, loud, metallic, sided with her, followed by a splash. "Even if it sinks them," I said, "we can hike out." 5, 6 miles, doable. The night answered with a bird's screech, then crickets. Whatever it was gone. We ate canned chili, cracked beers, then whiskey, 2 rattled for s'mores. The lean-to felt exposed, 3 walls, 1 gaping side staring into the black. I'd loved them before, but that night, I'd have killed for a tent zipper between me and whatever was out there. Morning washed away the fear. 1 canoe had a dent, the other floated upside down mid-lake. Arnie pounded the dent out with a rock, and we retrieved the second. 4 long scratches now marred its side. Maybe new, maybe not. We laughed it off. Dumb kids, spooked by a bear, more afraid of us than we were of it. The trip settled into normalcy. Fishing, hiking, burgers. By the last day, The first night was a ghost story we'd outgrown. That final day, we paddled to the bog, carnivorous plants and rare orchids calling Mora's name. We wound through tea-colored shallows, spotting sundews and pitcher plants, their deadly leaves splayed like traps. Mora saw pink 10 yards inland, a lady's slipper, she swore, and leapt out before we could stop her. "I'll check my footing," she promised, stepping onto the spongy peat. I followed, testing each step. The ground quaked, but held until it didn't. My foot broke through, sinking to my knee. "I'm stuck," I laughed, tugging. Nothing. I pulled harder. It felt caught, like a root had looped my ankle. Mora steadied me, but I wouldn't budge. "Tangled on something?" I said, digging with my knife. The peat resisted, matted tight. I carved a square instead, prying it free, and felt a sharp tug, sinking deeper. "Hey!" I stabbed the ground beside my foot, hard. The grip released, flinging me back, soaking me in bog water. My knife sank, lost. Mora was pissed. I'd ruined her orchid vibe. "The journey sucks now," I snapped. She glared. "It's always about you, isn't it?" It wasn't, but we were past arguing. Done, just waiting for life to pull us apart. Rain came that night, a steady drip, killing campfire plans. Goody strung the rope, Arnie cooked mac and cheese, and we finished the whiskey, brooding over our looming goodbyes. "I'll miss this," Mora said, staring into the dark. "No civilization, just the night." We listened. No cars, no hum, just raindrops. Too quiet, no birds, no bugs. "Did you tie the rope ends?" I asked Goody. "Yeah, to the lean-to nails," he said, one each side. "Not together? It's good enough?" He shrugged, his catchphrase, why we called him Goody instead of Ben. A triangle clanged, lakeside. "Just wind," Goody said, unconvincing. "There's no wind," Arnie whispered. Another clank, then another, circling slow. It stopped behind the lean-to. Silence stretched, a soft scratch rasped from the roof. We froze, eyes up. "Make noise," Mora hissed. A voice, wet, guttural, mimicked me from above. "I'm a loud, scary noisemaker." Mora bolted out, ready to curse whoever was pranking us. A swollen purple arm dropped, snagging her hair, yanking her off the ground. I grabbed the Dutch oven, swung wild, and smashed its forearm. It howled, dropping her. "Run! Canoes!" I yelled. Goody and Arnie sprinted. Mora scrambled after. My headlamp caught it. Huge, bulbous-headed, a sucker mouth too wide for anything human. It quivered, poised. I hurled the oven at its face and ran. Mora paddled backward in our canoe as I leapt in. Goody and Arnie trailed in theirs. A splash erupted behind, a hairy V slicing the water fast. They overtook us, then two arms shot up, crumpling their canoe like foil. It sank, middle first, with a splash. I didn't look back, just paddled for the portage, lungs burning. "When we hit, run!" I gasped to Mora. She leapt out as we scraped gravel. Bolting ahead, I hoisted the canoe, ran the 500 feet, chest screaming. Mora waited at the bog's edge, not swimming away like I'd hoped. "Hurry!" she yelled. A mud wave rose behind her, sprouting arms and that leering head. It swallowed her whole. I ran past, threw the canoe into the second lake, and paddled 2 miles alone, terror my fuel. I banged on the ranger's door till he woke. "Help them," I begged. "Cheese and crackers, not at night," he grumbled, calling the sheriff. I said, "Bog monster," vague enough to cover bear or human evidence. The sheriff searched at dawn, found the crushed canoe, no bodies. "Bear spooned 'em out," he said, "bones in the silt." They retrieved our gear, including the Dutch oven with a blood smear, sent to the lab, results never shared. A month later, they claimed no record of it. They know something's in that bog, they let us go anyway. Now I can't stand silence. It's where that thing hides, waiting to pull me under. I'm a pretty normal guy, 26, living in Michigan, working a steady gig at a small private college. I'm the kind of dude who digs hockey, binge watches HBO, and spends weekends kayaking or hiking with my dog, Bear, a scruffy mutt who's better company than most people. I've got a girlfriend, a dad, and sister I'd do anything for, and a life that's simple but good. I've never bought into ghosts, aliens, or Bigfoot. Show me hard proof, or I'm skeptical. God. Maybe not. I'm open-minded, but I need to see it to believe it. That's how I've always been. Until late August 2010, when something out at Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore turned my world upside down. Now there's one thing I believe in, one thing I can't shake: black-eyed kids. I used to love camping. The solitude, the quiet, it was my reset button. Life's not crazy for me, but sometimes you just need to ditch the noise and breathe. Out there, alone, I could think straight, soak in the beauty of a clover patch or a mountain ridge. It grounded me. Sleeping Bear along Lake Michigan was my go-to spot. By late summer, the sunbathers were gone, leaving miles of dunes and woods to myself. That year, I'd booked 5 days off work, itching to disappear into the wild. I rolled into the sandy parking lot near the lake on day one, hopped onto my car hood, and took it all in. Waves lapping, gulls crying. "Thank God for solitude," I said out loud, grinning like an idiot. After a quick sandwich and a barefoot dip in the icy water, I was ready to set up camp. First stop, the Platte River Ranger Station, 15 minutes up the road. You've got to check in, pay fees, grab a backcountry pass, give them your car details, standard stuff. The station was open, manned through mid-October, saving me a longer haul north. I parked, strolled in, and chatted with the ranger, a grizzled guy with a slow drawl. He asked for my license plate number. I'd forgotten to jot it down, so I stepped back outside. That's when I saw them, 2 kids on a bench near my car. They hadn't been there when I arrived, but I was still riding a vacation high, too blissed out to care. I scribbled the number, headed back in, squared away my pass, and hit the bathroom next door. It was small, just a sink and a stall empty when I walked in. Mid-piss, the door creaked open. Whispered voices filtered in, soft, high-pitched, like kids. I figured it was the pair from the bench, no big deal. I finished, stepped out, and there they were, 2 boys, maybe 12, standing right outside the store. "It's all yours," I said, brushing past to the sink. They didn't move. I washed my hands, glancing up at the mirror, and that's when it hit me. Their eyes, jet black, no whites, no irises, just voids staring back at me. My spine turned to ice. This wasn't some trick of the light. They were 3 feet away in a cramped, fluorescent-lit room. I froze, water spilling over my hands, my brain screaming, "What the hell?" The brown-haired one stepped forward, snapping me out of it. Habit kicked in. I shut off the tap and edged toward the door. "Can you help us?" he said, voice flat, almost too calm. For a split second I wanted to say yes, I'm a decent guy, help a stranger, save a cat, whatever. But this wasn't decency. It was like something pulled at me, some weird urge I couldn't explain. Later, digging into black-eyed kid stories, I'd learned that's their thing, a hypnotic hook. But right then, I shook it off like a bad dream. "No, not right now, gotta go," I mumbled, bolting out the door. Those 2 seconds back-turned felt like a death sentence. I braced for claws, teeth, something to rip me apart. Nothing came. I stumbled into the sunlight, legs wobbly, and fumbled my keys into the lock. Inside my car, door slammed and locked. I dared a glance back. There they were, just outside the bathroom, staring. black eyes boring into me. I'm not a tough guy, but at 6 feet, 185 pounds, I can handle myself. I've faced down a grizzly once, gotten lost, survived a tree crashing through my campsite in a storm. None of that touched the terror those kids sparked. They started walking toward me. I cranked the engine, peeled out, and didn't look back, too scared I'd see those eyes in the rear view. You're probably wondering why I didn't just drive home. 3 hours, I'd be safe with Bear and a beer. Honestly, I don't know. Shock, maybe. Sitting in that sandy lot, sun warming the car, I talked myself out of it. They're gone, you're fine, don't ruin the trip. Stupid, I know. By 3 p.m, I grabbed my pack and hit the trail to White Pine Campground. 2 routes, the quick wooded path or the longer beach trek. After that bathroom run-in, I picked the beach, open, bright, less suffocating. It was a slog with a 50-pound pack sinking into sand, but I needed the light. The campground was half a mile inland from the shore, a cluster of 7 sites, all empty. Normally, I'd love the solitude. Now it felt like a trap. I picked a spot tucked off the trail, set up my one-man tent, laid out my sleeping pad and mummy bag, and grabbed my walking stick, a sawed-off hockey stick, and folding knife. Firewood came next. I piled it high, triple what I'd need, and lit a blaze. Cooking dinner as the sun dipped, I watched shadows stretch through the trees. Usually that sight warmed me. This time, it coiled dread in my gut. I ate fast, gathered more wood. Anything to keep the fire roaring past dark. By nightfall, I was rummaging for my flask. Liquid courage sounded damn good. The woods swallowed the sun quick, slow at first, then gone in a flash. I dragged my tent closer to the fire, its back shielding mine as I sat on a rickety bench. The flames roared, heat blasting my face, but I didn't care. It was mid-40s, early fall, and I needed that light. No phone, no watch, just me, the fire, and a growing itch for morning. The whiskey helped, dulling the edge, lulling me sleepy. Rules say douse the fire before bed, but no way was I sleeping in the dark. I crawled into my tent, left the flap open with just the bug screen, and drifted off watching the glow. I woke to silence. The fire was dead, dawn creeping in, alive, surprised honestly. Daylight scrubbed away some fear and I cooked breakfast, convincing myself those kids were just punks from Platte River Camp with freaky contacts. A prank, had to be. So, dumbest move yet, I stayed. I stockpiled more wood, hiked the wooded trail back to my car, and hit the dune climb, a 1.5-mile slog up towering sand to the lake. Gorgeous, uneventful, bolstering my resolve. After lunch, soup on my camp stove, I took the scenic drive through the park, winding roads with pull-offs that usually soothed me. By 3 p.m., I figured I'd treat myself to an early dinner in Traverse City, 45 minutes away. Not my usual camping vibe, but I needed it. Traverse is a gem, great steakhouse just outside town. I hit it at 4:30, planning a quick meal, but the place was slammed. Service crawled and I didn't leave until dusk. Rain started as I drove back, turning to a storm by the time I parked. Night had fallen, wind howling, and I was kicking myself. My gear, tent, bag, everything was still at camp. Hundreds of bucks I couldn't ditch, even if I was terrified. I geared up, headlamp, flashlight, knife, walking stick, water bottle, woods or beach again. The storm killed any moonlight, but the beach felt less claustrophobic. I hustled, rain pelting my shell jacket, wind biting. Hiking in the dark is dumb. Cougars, bears, tripping hazards, but I wasn't worried about that. It was the paranoia gnawing at me. Every 10 feet I stopped, swept my headlamp over the tall grass between beach and woods, jaw open to hear better. Waves crashed, wind screamed, drowning everything. Still, I swore I caught whispers, faint, childlike. Half an hour in, near the trail turnoff, the dread peaked. I spun around and there they were. The talkative brown-haired kid stood 5 feet away, the quiet one just behind. Motionless, staring, black eyes glinting in my beam like oil slicks. Terror doesn't cover it. It was like a doctor saying, "You've got seconds to live." My chest locked, breath shallow. The talkative one stepped closer. "Help us," he said, voice hollow. I couldn't speak, couldn't move. The quiet one shifted, circling slow, predator-like. That broke me. "I'm not fucking helping you," I rasped. "We're lost. We can't find our campsite." "Is this a game?" I spat, knowing it wasn't. "Take us with you. Please, we'll die out here. We're afraid." Bullshit. They're afraid. With those dead fishbowl eyes and monotone voices, I was the one shaking. The quiet one edged closer, beside me now 2 feet off. The talkative one blocked my retreat, reaching out. "Okay, you can come with me," I heard myself say, unbidden, like my mouth betrayed me. His hand stretched forward, pale and wrong, and panic slammed me like a fist. I recoiled, sprinting down the beach, away from them, away from my car. I ran faster than I ever had, sand sucking at my boots, headlamp bouncing wild. The trail loomed. I veered into the woods, senses screaming. Off path, I killed the light, dropped into tall grass and watched. Hours passed, rain soaking me, cold seeping in, no kids, shivering, fear, adrenaline, or frost. I had to move, car or tent. The car was safety, home, but 1.5 miles through the dark with them out there. The tent was closer, warmer, riskier. If they knew my plans, they'd know my sight. I picked the tent, praying they didn't. I sprinted the half-mile, circled the campground. No campers, no kids. My tent stood alone. I slipped in, skipping a fire. Too loud, too bright. Wet clothes off, I slid naked into my mummy bag, hating the name more than ever. My pack, with dry clothes, sat 15 feet away, unreachable now. The tent's thin walls felt like nothing, but they were something. Rain tapped leaves, wind creaked branches, sounds that had normally lulled me. Now every noise was a threat. Exhaustion clawed at me, but sleep meant vulnerability. I fought it, whispering, "No, no, no," a lifeline against the dark. A voice cut through, soft, wet. "Help us." My eyes snapped open. Not a dream. Night raged on, storm biting. I screamed, primal, helpless in my zipped-up bag. "Please let us in," it said, closer. "No," I shrieked. "No, it's so cold. Please, mister." Sobbing took over, raw, broken. I yanked the bag's hood tight, sealing myself in, chanting "no" like a prayer, drowning their words. "Let us in," it pressed, relentless. I wouldn't listen, couldn't. Their pull was too strong. I howled my mantra, waiting for claws, for death. Sleep stole me anyway. Sunlight woke me, alive, impossibly. I unzipped the tent, peeked out, nothing. Naked, I dashed to my pack, dressed, tore down camp in a frenzy and bolted down the beach trail. A dead duck stopped me, heart ripped out, fresh. I snapped a photo with my disposable camera, proof of something, and ran on. My car sat untouched. I drove home, shaking. 2 months later, it's still vivid, every second etched in me. I haven't camped since, maybe never will alone. I dug into black-eyed kids online, not to guess what they are, demons, aliens, but to know I'm not crazy. I'm not. Others have seen them. My advice? If you meet one, don't wait, don't talk, don't doubt. Run. Run and don't look back. It was late September 1983, the kind of damp, grey month that clings to your bones like a bad dream. Me and my scout troop, well, what was left of it, decided it was now or never for one last camping trip. The prize at the end of the year was some shiny badge or a cheap plaque, but honestly, it was more about getting out of our parents' hair for a weekend. Our troop owned a chunk of land up on Blackridge Hill, a jagged, rocky beast of a place about an hour outside town. Problem was, the day we picked to haul our sorry selves up there, the sky had been puking rain non-stop since dawn. No one cared though. Our folks either had weekend plans or figured a little water never killed anybody. They were wrong, but we didn't know that yet. There were 4 of us that day, trudging single file up a muddy, narrow trail that snaked through the hill like a scar. Me, leading the pack, soaked to the skin under a flimsy green poncho. Behind me was Eric, the golden boy who'd probably never touched a cigarette, let alone trouble. Then came Tony, the runt of the litter, and Sam, bringing up the rear, quiet as a ghost. The rain hammered down, turning the path into a slick trap, and our boots squelched with every step. We were a miserable bunch, except for Tony. That kid was a walking disaster, the kind of boy whose mom dumped him in Scouts to get a break from his whining. He was short, scrawny, and had a talent for getting under your skin. And trust me, we'd gotten real good at making him pay for it. See, Tony wasn't just annoying, he was a target. We'd been picking on him for months, little shoves here, cruel jabs there. It wasn't right, but it felt good, especially on days like this when the world seemed out to get us. Tony, though? He thrived on it. The worse we felt, the more he poked, like he was feeding off our misery. That day, he zeroed in on Eric. "Hey, Eric!" Tony's voice cut through the rain, high and grating. I glanced back. He'd squeezed up next to Eric on the trail, barely fitting sideways, his poncho flapping like a wet bat. Eric didn't even turn his head. "What?" he grunted. "I can read your mind," Tony chirped, like some hyper kid on a sugar rush. "Okay," Eric said, flat as the rocks under our feet. "Think of a number, I'll guess it." Tony's voice pitched higher, needling. "Fine," Eric muttered. I kept my eyes ahead, focusing on the trail. "It's 30, Tony declared, triumphant. "No, you were lying. I got it right, didn't I, huh? Didn't I?" Tony started jostling Eric, pressing into him, rustling their ponchos. I could hear it even over the rain. He'd do that sometimes, push and prod until you snapped. Once, he'd even humped Sam's leg like a dog, just to see how far he could go. "Get off me!" Eric snarled. I didn't see it happen, my back was to them, but I felt the shift in the air, a shove, a yelp, and then Tony's scream tore through the storm as he went over the edge. The trail was barely a foot wide there, slippery as hell, and steep enough to kill you if you fell wrong. I spun around just in time to see him tumbling, arms flailing, his poncho a green blur. He clipped a tree, then another, before a gnarled stump snagged his legs. He flipped, helpless, and slammed headfirst into a slab of sandstone jutting out of the hillside. Crack. The sound was wet and final, like a melon splitting open. For 30 seconds I stared. He didn't move, not a twitch. "Oh my God," Sam whispered, breaking the silence. His voice jolted us awake. "We gotta help him," I said, my throat tight. Back then, help meant running down there and dragging him to the nearest house. No cell phones, no 911, just us and our dumb teenage panic. I started toward the edge, but Eric blocked the path, his face pale under his hood. "We've got to tell people what happened," he said, turning to me, then Sam. "He slipped and fell. That's the story, got it?" "We need to help Tony," Sam shouted, his voice cracking. "We will," Eric snapped. "But first, we say he fell. You with me?" He locked eyes with me, desperate. I shrugged. Didn't see it, I mumbled. Good enough for him. He turned to Sam. You pushed him, Sam said, stunned, like he couldn't believe it himself. I didn't mean to, Eric's voice rose. Just say he fell, Sam. Say it. No, Sam shot back, defiant. All right, Eric said, too calm. Let's go. We moved fast but careful, the trail too treacherous to run. Tony's scream still echoed in my head. Wouldn't matter anyway, Sam said after a bit, softer now, like he was consoling Eric. Tony, tell everyone you tried to kill him no matter what. Yeah, Eric replied, his voice dead. But who'd care if we stuck to the story? He picked up his pace, closing in behind Sam. Which way's fastest to... Sam started, then yelled, Hey! Eric had grabbed him, dragging him to the edge of the path. Eric shrieked, Say it! His voice raw with fear, not anger. Say he slipped. He held Sam teetering over the drop, rain streaming off them both. Fuck you! Sam roared, thrashing. He caught Eric off guard, landing a wild hit that made Eric grunt. Adrenaline kicked in and Sam broke free, shoving Eric toward the cliff on the other side. They were a tangle of fists and ponchos, murder in their eyes. Stop it! I yelled, stepping closer, then back. They didn't hear me. Sam slammed Eric's head into the rocks and Eric shook, like he was breaking apart. But he wasn't done. He grabbed Sam, hoisted him like a sack, and charged blind, Sam's poncho over his face. He misjudged the edge. They both went down, crashing through trees with sickening thuds until they hit a flat patch below. I could hear them screaming, still alive, unlike Tony. I hurried down the trail, looping back to where they'd landed. Sam was clutching his leg, blood soaking through his pants where the bone poked out. Eric lay twisted, staring at the sky. My leg's broken, Sam wailed as I reached them. The bone's out. Hey, Eric said, eerily calm. I think I hurt my spine. Can't feel my legs. Shock, I guess. His body looked wrong, bent in ways it shouldn't. I'll check Tony, then get help, I said, trying to sound in control. Sam screamed that I should go now, but I couldn't leave without knowing about Tony. Maybe he was choking, maybe I could do something. I ran toward that sandstone rock, a landmark I'd passed a dozen times on hikes. I knew it by heart. When I got there, my blood turned to ice. Tony was gone, blood pooled by the rock, bright red against the wet stone, but no body, no tracks in the mud, no broken branches, nothing. I called his name, my voice swallowed by the rain. I circled the rock, frantic, but it was like he'd vanished into thin air. Then I noticed it. The sound was fading. The rain, my footsteps, my own breath, everything muffled, like the world was shutting off. Sam's screams, so loud a second ago, were gone. My heart pounded, but I couldn't hear it. A new feeling crept in, not like being watched, but like something was looming right over me, breathing down my neck. I spun around. Nothing. The sensation grew, heavy and suffocating, until I couldn't stand it. I bolted back to Sam and Eric faster than I'd ever run. Sound crept back. Sam's cursing, the rain's hiss. Eric barely glanced at me. Tony's gone, I panted. How? Sam croaked, his face white. Sam croaked, his face white. I don't know. Can you move your arms? I'll carry you out. I was taller, stronger. I could do it. Sam nodded, grimacing. Whatever I'd felt, he sensed it too. I splinted his leg quick, ditched my pack, and hoisted him onto my back. He screamed as I lifted. Wait! Eric rasped, panic breaking through. What about me? I can only carry one, I said. We'll get help fast. But what if whatever took Tony? His voice cracked, eyes wide. I glared at him, sprawled there, helpless. Maybe you deserve it, I spat, turning away. His pleas chased me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Don't leave me. until they faded into the storm. Sam moaned with every step, the rain relentless. A mile to the nearest house felt like forever. I slipped, crashed to my knee, and Sam shrieked as his chest hit my shoulder. "I think I broke a rib," he gasped. I shifted him to a fireman's carry, gentler on his chest. "Better," he grunted. We neared the parking lot, the edge of the park. Things felt almost normal, like Tony might have just walked off, like help was coming. Then Sam whispered, "Oh, Jesus! Run! Run!" He pounded my side, frantic. I stumbled forward, his voice fading again, that awful silence creeping back. He thrashed, weaker now, as I hit the gravel slope to the lot. My feet went numb. I staggered, ankles useless, then knees. The numbness climbed and I crashed face first, Sam rolling free. He crawled, twitching, up the hill. I dragged myself after him, rocks cutting my face, until something slammed the back of my head, hard like a steel beam. My fight died. I lay there, numb, hopeless, a living corpse under my hood. Time blurred. The rain stopped. Eventually birds chirped, cars hummed faintly. Footsteps crunched closer, then sped up. "You all right?" An old man pulled my hood back, wincing at my bloodied face. "Christ, kid, what happened?" "I don't know," I croaked. Years later, I still don't. Tony, Eric, Sam, they were never found. No trace, no answers. I don't go near forests anymore, but that's not enough. Silence terrifies me now. I need sound, TV, music, anything to sleep, to live. Without it, I'm back on that hill waiting. Lately, though, even with noise blaring, silence creeps in. At home, at work, driving, it swallows everything. It's coming for me. I know it. Soon I'll face that presence again, and this time it'll drag me into a quiet I'll never escape.